Let's talk about monetization of Wi-Fi. A very topic that we all fight, but we, one way or another, end up facing some talks, conversation, discussions with anybody about this exact same topic. This data comes from I borrowed this from my friend at the Wireless Broadband Alliance, Tiago Rodriguez. There's a lot of information about this, and of course, the monetization of Wi-Fi is, like any other thing. People see an opportunity, they say, how can we make money out of this? And if we are investing all this money in this infrastructure, how can we get our money back? And in their minds, they have their justifications. Mr. Parsons has his point of view on monetizing Wi-Fi in hotels, for instance. That's another place like, oh, you want to be in the network that we don't rate limit you at 256 kilobits per second? Sure, we'll pay more and then we'll get you. But for this, I'm going to use two examples. The first one, we're going to move to Africa. This is a company that, they are a service provider and they have internet everywhere. Another company wanted to ride on their infrastructure. It makes sense to talk to a service provider. They have the infrastructure, they have the APs, they have the backbone, they have the customers. So like, why don't we sell Wi-Fi to other people? And they sell by the hour, by the day, by the month, and then people can log into an SSID in the street while they're waiting for the bus. And then, they get an hour Wi-Fi or a day or a month. And monetization is nothing wrong with that. I mean, people need water. Entrepreneurs will see the opportunity, like, oh, we'll sell you water, and we'll bring the barrels of water to your house. For Wi-Fi, they said, like, oh, we have people that need Wi-Fi. They're using it. We've got users. We got people out there with a need. Nothing wrong with trying to deliver it to them. And yes, it was very common to see people even with two phones and they have Wi-Fi. And it was interesting because in some of these places, especially, they picked the second biggest slum in Africa to do this project. And some of these areas don't have running water. Some areas don't have sewer system, but they have Wi-Fi. There is like this thing that as I was walking, and of course, as you can see, I couldn't use Mr. Parsons' Segway in this area. There was like no way to go up and down the street and get good rings. I had to walk, and after walking for 20 kilometers and 3 days in the dust, the sun, and the congestion of the slums in Nairobi, we gathered data. And then the guys wanted to see, like, okay, we want to see if there is Wi-Fi so we can sell this to our customers. Oh, as a matter of fact, we're selling it to our customers already. We're getting complaints. So in doing surveys, most of you guys know how to read this. Wherever it's yellow to green, there's a decent signal. Wherever it's gray, there's poor signal. So basically, the result was, well, you don't have enough coverage, which I know in class we always say coverage is easy. That's like never a problem, except when you come across a project like this and like, oh yeah, the reason that you don't have Wi-Fi everywhere is because you don't have signals everywhere. And one of the requirements of the project was, tell me what my throughput is in my network. Like everywhere, like, well, whatever we could measure something, yes, we will give you some upload, download, and the maximum was 2 megabits per second. We were being rate limited. It's like, that's the limit. And wherever there is no throughput is because there was no signal. No Wi-Fi, no throughput. It's that simple. So, same story. Many places, they, in their minds, believe that they had pretty good infrastructure, 15,000 access points with our customers everywhere, and then we can sell it to anybody. They can just connect anywhere, and they will have Wi-Fi everywhere. That was not the case. Besides, yeah, they thought they had pretty good infrastructure, but they just goes to everybody. They kind of forget about the surroundings of where this infrastructure is. And sometimes the infrastructure is not the most ideal for Wi-Fi communications. You may be getting a signal down the street somewhere, but maybe you got that from a reflection from, I don't know, an AP that is up high, a few kilometers away, and then you don't have a way to get back to it. in their desks, these CFOs and all these guys have these great ideas to get money back from the infrastructure. And one of the things they asked me, like, oh yeah, just make sure you walk on the sidewalks and then make sure that you see what signals we have on the sidewalk. Like, there are no sidewalks. You just walk down the street, and however you can go through areas, that's where you're gonna get. So, of course, there's brilliant ideas about connecting cities and having all of these options with Wi-Fi. It's unlicensed, it's free, it's easy to deploy, anybody can do it, it works everywhere. Then why not do many other things with this? We were seeing like RTLS earlier today with the Wi-Fi ninjas. Yes, there's many ways that we can use Wi-Fi. So they also mentioned these metropolitan projects. And of course, they mentioned the Link New York City, just talking about this kiosk that you have great Wi-Fi, and talking about Times Square and stuff. It's like, that's interesting. Let's now talk about the Big Apple. Let's take this kind of analysis into this bigger area, and let's look at some data from the opposite end of the spectrum. Not where you don't have enough Wi-Fi, but these areas where you have way too much Wi-Fi. So for this, let me just exit this guy here. And let's use, in this case, Ekahau. I ended up doing this survey because I was helping somebody with a project in the area, and it was the same thing. They think, oh, I just have this many APs. Like, yeah, but you're just not accounting for the other APs in the area. So this one I didn't walk too much. I didn't use the segue either. But what I want to show you here briefly is that in this survey that it didn't take me that long. You might be thinking I walked for hours and hours, but it was only 48 minutes, but I did almost 3 kilometers going on both sides of the streets and gathering data. But during that process, just 48 minutes in, not a large area. If I go like from, I did it from 48th Street all the way down to 40, that's about, a little bit over 600 meters. And then I came across about 3,052 access points, and I also saw about 8,600 BSS IDs. Looking at this information, and this was just open out there. I mean, you say like, oh, well, if I'm in the building, I'm going to have, the walls protecting me from the outside and containing my RF. And it can be true, but they're talking about a project out in the street to put a kiosk with the fastest internet in the world. Like, yeah, I don't think so. It's going to be probably as fast as your traffic, like car traffic. So looking at this data from this survey, we can see that in 5 gig, where would you place access points in any of those places surveyed? And that's 5 gig. How about 2.4? 2.4 is not going to be much better than that. So yes, when you're faced with this type of projects, CFOs and all these people, they have good intentions. They're not trying to drain every dime out of us. Well, maybe they are, but it's not that they have a bad intention. They're just trying to make profit. Like, we are all in the business of making money. But sometimes they forget that we have certain limitations, physical limitations that are not accounted for. Thank you very much. Good luck.